The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hear her heartbeat from 1,000 miles. Yeah, the heavens open.
Welcome, guys, to Cosmopolitans with Lauren, and I have a major, excitingly special guest that I booked almost 4 months in advance because I'm so excited. You know how I am. I like my guests to introduce themselves. So, Alexa, tell me about you and tell me everything.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Alexa Servodidio. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I have my private practice in New York. I work with children, adults, individuals, families, couples, treating anything from anxiety, depression, to domestic violence, sexual abuse. I'm also trained in EMDR. I also am a radio show host and a TV show host that I've been doing for about 3 years. And I've also been an actress for about 15 years, too, so I keep really busy and I sleep well at night.
Okay, first of all, were you like hibernated in a tube? Like, were you one of those Harvard tube students that you're so smart that you can do all of this? You're like one of the tube babies that they say, I want somebody that's really beautiful, really smart, very intelligent. You've got both left and right side of the brains going.
Oh, thank you so much. I guess it was also my parents. They really brought me up to work hard, to study, but also to enjoy life and to do things that you're passionate about. So I've been able to choose all these careers and blessed to be able to stay in them and really put them all together so they all complement each other.
Yeah, because that would be difficult, Alexa. I mean, I kid. I was teaching school today, and I was kidding that one of the kids was coming over and singing a song to me out on the playground. And the other teacher was like, well, she can't do great in this area. But typically that's because you rather work out of your left brain, where you're highly, acting, emotional, whatever. And then the right field is people, like you said, they're doctors and people to analyze things and do medical stuff. You've got both things going on. I mean, is that difficult? I mean, are you constantly just going at it in your head?
Yes, well, I think ever since I was young, I was always into, very, very into acting and performing, but also into always listening to people's problems and trying to figure out answers and trying to help people. I've always been that person who always helped the underdog, who never wanted to see anyone suffering, loved to figure things out. Mm-hmm. So I think both areas of the left brain, right brain have been encouraged, mm-hmm. and I've been able to work on them and go to school, get my master's in social work, mm-hmm. so that the education-wise. But then also I think, with life experiences and working with people, it's a lot you learn, too, with clients. I think each person is so unique, what makes them tick and how they think and how they process emotionally, that I think you have to approach each person as a new person, as a different person. Each case is so different.
So when you were talking about your radio, now I try and follow you. I'm going to be honest, Alexa. You're one of the few people I really do try. But you do so much. It's hard to keep up with all that you do. Like, I have a calendar of different people that are doing different things. And finally, I think with you were the blue tab. I was like, I've run out of stuff that she's doing. So tell me about the radio show and tell me about the TV stuff.
Yes. Well, my radio show is Insight into Healing. It's on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. That really takes my psychotherapy and my therapy background. Mm-hmm. I answer questions from listeners, anything from anxiety to my child is acting out in school to, is my husband or wife cheating on me? So I answer questions, but I also have different guests on, different professionals. They can be in the medical field, mental health field, or in film, acting type of field, or law enforcement, because I feel that I need to highlight people who give back to the community.
Correct.
But also people who provide hope and strength and inspiration. I really think that's what is so needed. So it's been so amazing meeting these people, working with them, having them on my show, and really seeing their growth, but also having it help so many other people.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that. Like, y'all guys, you haven't heard it because we've started this new thing of pre-recording, and I'm not going to say her name yet. But I was doing a thing the other day, and I had her on to talk to us. But as the conversation evolved, I realized I was more helping her because of the experiences I had been through. So as a host, you and I both know, with so many people you talk and so many people you interview, you start to begin. And let me tell you something. If you ever need to talk to anybody, I think all the things that you listed, I'm not going to say, but every single thing that you listed, I've been through. And that's why I'm able to deal with people so easily and understand. And like you said, empathize. I'm big into empathizing because I think all the losses and all the heartaches and all the problems that I've experienced led me to this radio show. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be able to relate to people. But I find it fascinating that you're so upbeat and you give back, and you're such a beautiful person on the inside and out. When did you start acting?
I started acting a little bit after high school. I started off in high school, doing commercial print modeling and doing modeling, and finally came to terms that I wasn't going to be a high fashion runway model because I'm only about 5'5". I felt like I could still beat it and get it on the high fashion runway. I've gotten on smaller runways, so I have done runway.
Good for you.
And yes, I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I've done a lot of runway for people my size. But
Kate
I also
Moss,
got into acting, and I just loved it. So I've done a lot of theater in the city, up where I live in Westchester County. I've done film, television, and commercials, and I just love it. It's been so exciting. I just had a small cameo in the feature film Girl on the Train.
Yes.
So I made it to the trailer. It was just so incredible to go and watch the film and see myself on the big screen.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I know you said something, and I posted something on it. I think, guys, sometimes you'll see, and it's not that I'm favoring one person above another one, but I'm really into helping other females because a lot of times when we're trying to get started or we're alone in life, just getting help up from another person is a huge thing. And I don't know what inspires me. I'm going to do a show on that. Certain things inspire me to go to certain people, and I don't know, but Alexa is somebody that I've always kind of like followed along. Speaking of which, I want to know about your dog. But she was very inspirational to me because I do know about all the stuff that she does reach out to help, and it seems like, I feel like you made me feel like crap one day because I was like laying in bed, watching Bravo Housewives, and you're like, it's 6 a.m., I'm headed off to work on a Sunday. I was like, oh my God. So your day typically, you've got a radio. Let's go back, guys. She's got a radio show. She's got a TV show. She does movies. She does cameos. She does commercials. She does modeling, and she's really, really smart. How do we all get there?
It's hard work, but I think I've always listened to myself and my parents saying that you can do anything you want. I know it sounds cliche, but I also do. I'm a personal trainer and a ropes instructor, and I do all these different things. I've been doing them through all the years, and everyone would always say to me, "You have to pick one thing. You can't do all these things." And I said, "Why? What does that impact anyone? Why I do all these things?" I said, "I think I can choose." They said, "No, it doesn't make sense that you have 10 different jobs." And I said, "But I love all these jobs. I'm passionate, and I would not want to give one up." And I think that's what's so encouraging. We don't have to pick one thing. We find our niche. Mm-hmm. And that is how it all comes together.
Because, Alexa, I think me and you would be best friends because I don't know if you've ever looked at my stuff, but yeah, I've been a fitness specialist since I was like one of the first people to bring yoga. I used to, one of the first people to teach aerobics and step and this, that, and the other. And that's what my dad had said to me. He was in here, and it was maybe, I think it was Wednesday, my business manager was here, and I'm from the South, and our big thing is if you're a Southern girl, you're trying to impress your father. My mother passed away. So I had signed this big deal, and I was really excited, and I looked over, and I was like, it's a very poignant moment that my business partner here and my dad here, and I unwrapped it, my dad looked at me and goes, "But you're still teaching school, right?" And it's like, and I said, "Yeah, but Dad, I did all this, and it's like been 5 months." And the thing is, he's like, "Well, you just seem to give up on everything." I'm not giving up. I'm exploring different options. Just because I'm not training full-time or I'm not a radio show host full-time or I'm not a teacher doesn't mean I'm giving up on any of my ideas. I'm doing what you said. I'm exploring all my options and living it to the fullest. And I think people limit themselves to say, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer and I can't do anything else. But to fulfill yourself, maybe you do have to have 3 or 4 different careers.
Yes. And try. What do you have to lose? That's what I always say. Go out there and really try. And a couple of times, you might not succeed at first. It takes practice. It takes time. But I always say it's all in God's timing. It's always timing. But just you're where you're supposed to be. But just keep at it. If it's your passion and you really feel excited about it, go for it.
Right. And do you feel like with as many things that you had, like when you said that you had your movie come about, because we had a agent, and he was like, I think he's already been on the air, but I think it might have been another station, so we're going to have him on again. But he's like #1 modeling agent in New York. So my question is to you, do you feel, are you prioritizing, like your main goal is to be a actress, or your main goal is to be an entertainer, or your main goal is to work in a therapy field? Do you feel like you're pulled in every direction? Because I do. I feel very pulled all the time. Are you so scholastically and so self-aware that you're able to pretty much, run a smooth keel? You know where you're going to be, what you want to do, and this, that, and the other. I feel overloaded. Like I have so much going on at times I can't cope. You sound like to me that you're able to cope with all the different things you're doing. And can you tell us how to do that?
Yes, it's definitely overwhelming. I think we're all human. Sometimes if I look at my whole schedule, I say, how am I going to get all this in? And then I pull myself back and say, one activity at a time, one client at a time. And I've been able to kind of divide up my schedule I have, where I teach my few classes that I teach. I have my private practice that I work 4 days, and I schedule clients in my private practice. So, I can schedule around, if I have an audition or if I have a booking or something, I can schedule that, and then I have all the different clients that come in. And then if auditions happen, or I just wrote a book, so I also do a lot of book signings.
I know, like I've put up your book signings all the time. I'm trying to get you in Books A Million right now. Because I saw you were on Books A Million's out of here, and I was like, y'all need to have her. Yeah, we'll go into her books in a minute. I'm sorry, but go ahead on your books.
Yes, and I just find that it's so kind of amazing just doing all this, but I definitely feel sometimes, pulled. I know I want to do all of the things that I'm doing, and I know for a fact if I stopped one of them, I wouldn't feel complete. Yes, I'm tired, and sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just stay home. But that's why I have 1 or 2 days that I do my own thing. Maybe 4 or 5 days will be so booked. I'll be, working from 7 a.m. to about 9 p.m. at night between classes, audition, and clients. And they'll be just packed through. But I'll have those 1 or 2 days that I'll be off, that I can, catch up with stuff in the home. I can go to the gym. I can actually just kind of sit with myself, because I find that's really important. Because I think, as you know, when you're working with people, you're on the radio, you're on television, you're doing therapy, or in fitness, you're on. You have to be present. You have to be there interacting with people, and that takes a lot out of you. So I make sure I always have time where I can kind of just read a book or watch television, and I get a lot of good sleep. I make sure I get 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night.
Okay, you crack me up. So you do actually, I'm going to have to, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to call you, Alexa, after this is over and book an appointment. Do you do like online therapy? I mean, you need to do that where you can call a therapist online. But so you don't have to make me feel guilty. You do take like a Saturday and Sunday off, or do you work 7 days a week?
I work Saturdays. I'm in the office Saturdays. I try not to work Sundays, but I also do my billing for my private practice, so that ends up being the day I write up all my claims to send into insurance. And also I think if clients are in crisis, I will pick up the phone, on the weekends or after hours. Or if I'm going to be pre-recording a radio show or a television show, those will also sometimes be on my days off. Mm-hmm. But I try to give myself 1 or 2 that I'm like, okay, let me at least do that, within a couple of weeks. But it is hard. It's very hard. I think that's really what you have to practice, and I think it becomes so important, self-care, because if not, you're going to just get burnt out.
Are you under so much stress that you have to, I know that I am, Well, that's what we're laughing about. And I'm sure my producer's over here giving me the fisheye because I tend to open up a little too much on the air. But with the stressors, and when you talked about helping people, I eventually got to a point where, and I need to talk to you today, my producer, I need to talk to you about something today because we can cut this part out, where I had people calling that were like going to kill themselves, or they were taking pictures of themselves, like cutting their wrist and sending it to me. And I got so involved in their lives and whatever. And then I realized at one point, I had a son call me and said, my dad's freaking out and this, that, and the other. And I finally I started this out as trying to help other people, but I am not prepared to save anybody. I mean, if it shows up, somebody's right there. But as far as people looking for me to counsel, I can't counsel. So with someone like you, do you feel like that? I mean, you have a show on it. Do you feel like people that are calling you after hours and doing stuff that you feel overwhelmed, like, wait a minute, this is out of my league? I mean, probably not for you because it's probably in your league. But
I've seen a lot. One type of, everyone always says with my practice is I take the toughest clients. I take the clients where people say, no one else wants me. No one can figure this out. This is so horrible. I don't think I'll ever get over it. Those are the clients I'm saying, okay, let's do this because I have hope. I believe we can get through anything. It's going to be work. It's going to be hard work, but we can get through everything. But I find a lot of times, from the shows that I do, people will contact me on Facebook and will be like, this is going on. Can you help me? And I said, yes, I can help you to a certain degree. But as a therapist, as liability, I can only give sort of educational unless you come into my office. If you come into my office, then I can really have a therapeutic, relationship, alliance with you. But over the phone, I don't know. And that's what sometimes is very difficult if someone is suicidal. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a chapter in my book, what's the difference between suicide and cutting behaviors, because they are different.
And what is your book? And what's the name of your book again?
Finding Your Peace Within the Chaos.
Finding Your Peace Within the Chaos. And possibly when did you find time to do that? During your...
I worked on it for about a year, yes. And I took some time off, and then I'd go to it, and I took some time off, and then I said for about a week or two, I said, I'm just going to start, doing the different chapters. A lot of it is based on my radio show and different topics I've hit on my radio show. So I've kind of put that in my book because I find so many times people need the tools. They need the education.
Right.
And the book is geared for people who have not been exposed to the mental health field, people who are not working in the mental health field. But you know what? You get people who call you up. You have a brother, you have a sister, you have a coworker who wants to cut themselves or is suicidal or there's a heroin addiction. I mean, you need to have some sort of tool or something. You can't save people, but you can say, hey, let's, maybe you should go see someone, or, I think I have to call the crisis team. This sounds really serious. And I think as a mandated reporter, I tell my clients and people, if you tell me you're suicidal, I go through a whole plan and a scale to see how much they're going to act on it. Do they have a plan? Do they have access to the weapon, or how they are going to perform it? Mm-hmm. And then if it really gets to a point, or if they're going to hurt someone else, I have to call and report it to either the police, EMS, because I'm a mandated reporter. I cannot just let someone hurt themselves. And that becomes really tough over the phone, especially if someone's not telling you where they live and you don't know them.
Okay, I'm so excited to have you on. Like, there's so many questions. Like, and I originally had you on because I wanted to talk about the entertainment business, because typically that's how I have on is fashion entertainment. But now I've become so enthralled with this because I wanted to tap on three things that you said. When you were talking about, well, first of all, I was going to have a pharmacist on, but I don't think I need him on now that I have you. Have you found a lot of, which is what I found with one of the people that I was talking with, who is a PTSD soldier, but had been was on medication and was doing great, and then went to a different healthcare provider who switched him into a generic form, which he didn't realize was a generic form. He just thought it came cheaper there. And he completely, over a 6-month period, went completely bonkers. Generically, as soon as they got him into the hospital and they flushed his system, they realized within 24, 48 hours he was back, on the normal whatever medicine, whatever he was taking. Have you seen that there's a side effect of PTSD people that take medicines or antidepressants, that they take the wrong medicine, it can actually lead them down a worse slope?
Yeah, you just actually hit on two really important topics. One, even for someone who doesn't suffer from PTSD, who has bipolar, depression, whatever, whatever, anxiety, some people work better on generic, and some people work on the medication and can't do generic. I've had clients who've been on generic their whole life, and someone said they tried the real name, the drug, didn't work. I had someone, now insurance companies really won't pay for the drug, so generic are cheaper. And a lot of my clients who've been, stable for many, many, many years, they're in their 60s or 70s, but now insurance isn't paying for it. They don't, they're elderly, they don't have a budget. They go to generic, and their whole world falls apart. And the psychiatrist actually has to write a letter and has to meet with them and write a letter and call the prescription, the drug company, and the insurance, and really fight for them, because they cannot go on either generic or the brand name drug. Each person is so different.
So this is a huge thing for me, like an opening up of, yes, I mean, there is a huge problem with the amount of work that a doctor needs to put forward to get their patients on their right medicines.
Yes. Yes, and I think each person is different. Everyone who has PTSD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, borderline. Yes, maybe this one pill usually works for 8 of the 10 people, we would say, but you have to test each person differently, and you really have to look at them and check in, because each person is so different. And I've also found, I've been just recently trained in EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, and it works amazing for PTSD, first responders, police, firemen, EMS, victims of domestic violence, victims of sexual abuse, to, the teachers at Sandy Hook when there's a school shooting, to someone who witnessed a car accident, to also having anxiety, to having stuck thoughts, OCD, addictive behaviors, impulses, negative self-esteem, and it's done such amazing work with people.
What is the eye movement, which you were saying? What is that? I've actually keep up pretty much on stuff. I've never heard of that before. What is that?
Yes, it's been around for about 26 years.
Well, of course, I've never heard of it. So
it was founded by Francine Shapiro. She came up with it. And what it is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It uses bilateral eye movements, which is either you can do it with, the therapist can do it with their fingers, or there's a light bar that goes back and forth. And the person follows the therapist's fingers right to left to right, back and forth without moving their head. And what we do is we find a current day concern that's going on, and then we float it back to an earlier memory. So you could say someone said, okay, I have a hard time getting up and going to school in the morning. I'm really anxious, and I throw up, and I can't get up to go to school, and I'm nervous. So I would say, okay, so what is the worst picture when you think about getting up in the morning, going to school? Tell me what the worst picture of it, what happens in that picture? And they could say, I'm sick, I can't get out of bed. And I say, okay, so what is that negative cognition does that say about you? And there's a whole list of negative cognitions in EMDR and positive. So we can say, I'm not safe, I'm not okay, I'm not good enough. And what I do is we pair it with a positive cognition. I am safe, I am good. But we float back to about 4 years old for each memory that person says, okay, when was another time you felt I was not safe? And we float all the way back. And a lot of these memories don't have to be traumatic either. There could be some very traumatic, but it could just be that you were a little kid on the, kickball field and someone threw a ball at your head by accident and you were embarrassed. That can be a small T. That's a small trauma. And what happens, trauma gets locked in the brain, and they've medically proved this, that it gets locked in there. So by using the bilateral eye movement, it's almost like when you have REM sleep. Your eyes are moving back and forth when you're sleeping, and what your mind is doing, it's pruning memories, actions, things you can keep, things you don't need, things they can throw away. So doing the bilateral is we unlock the trauma, the stuck thoughts, the behaviors, we pair it with a positive cognition, and we process it. And it's a lot of times for people who don't want to go, even if they've done talk therapy, they can do talk therapy too. But a lot of times EMDR too is you don't have to go into detail about what the event is. You can give me the headline. I've worked with a lot of sexual abuse victims, and they have in talk therapy, but many, many years of their life have spoken about what had happened. And it's still, obviously still there and upsetting. So we will get the worst part of the memory, and we also have to, I also prompt them and do some other things with resourcing and calm and safe place to, prepare them. We don't go straight to that one tough memory, and we work through it. And what it does is we get the headlines, the eye movements go through it, and they kind of transmute that negative memory into more with a healthier look at it, an adult view, and it really goes through. But a lot of times when people are going through this, the body remembers trauma. So the client will be like, I feel it in my chest. I feel something's here. I can't breathe. My stomach. And with the eye movement, it'll help. At first, it'll be intense, and then within about a minute or less, it'll just go away. And I said, it's like you're on a train. Look out the window. Whatever visions, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings come up, just let it pass by as you're on a train and you're looking out the window. Don't engage it. Look at it, get the headline, and let it go.
So when you're saying eye movement, you don't actually mean like physically that movement, like not like some kind of hypnotism. You're talking about just visualization in the eye, in your head, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not hypnotism. What you do is, as a therapist, I will sit a little bit towards the left or the right, depending if I'm righty or lefty. And the client will keep their head straight, and I will bring my two fingers back and forth, right to left, at different speeds, and the person follows it with their eyes. You don't move with your head. You just follow it back with your eyes, and what that does, it starts unlocking the stuck thoughts in the mind, and it's been medically proven. It's such an amazing technique.
And then you were talking about that your book, which I cannot wait to go grab it. Tell me one more time, because I wrote it on there, and I've taken so many notes since we've been talking. Your book one more time is
Finding Your Peace Within the Chaos.
Okay, and you talked about cutting, and I want to tell you that I did a movie called Beautifully Broken, and it is about the victims of the Rwanda War. And I'm going to have to take a commercial break for 5 minutes, and you can run pee-pee real quick.
Are you hangry? Know the signs. Uncontrollable yelling.
Why aren't you egg rolls?
Hallucination.
Sushi.
Pants discomfort.
I hate you, pants.
Hangry. It can happen to anyone. Fortunately, there's E24, the app that tells hunger to shut up.
Egg rolls. Thanks, Snoop.
E24. In my medical opinion, it's the best way to order food online, baby.
Hey everyone, as you all know, summer is now here and everyone wants sexy summer skin. I'm partnered with Rodan & Fields, the #2 premium skincare company in the US. We have some fun treats for you guys. Check out my website at www.ewinters.myrandf.com. But wait, there's more. Join as a preferred customer to get 10% off and free shipping for all these amazing products that I'm currently obsessing over. Or email me for a free mini facial or free consultation at ewintersrf@gmail.com to get your sexy summer glow.
Hey everyone, I want to tell you all about an amazing salon. Joyce's, located at 132 Ferry Street in Everett, Massachusetts. Joyce's specializes in the latest techniques in coloring, styling, cutting, and beach waves. Joyce's features Sukesha all-natural nutrient products in organic color. Joyce's full-service spa and salon, located at 132 Ferry Street, Everett, Massachusetts. 617-387-6688. Specializing in you.
Hey there, all you creepy people. This is Kevin Wayne from Portland, Oregon. You're listening to Armed Radio, home of the big guns.
Hey Dan, how's the day going so far?
My day? Couldn't be better! You pull up less than 3 minutes after I open my Lyft app, And how do you greet me? With a kind hello? Just delightful.
Great. Care for a cookie?
A cookie? A chocolate chip cookie? You know, I'd love one.
Sure.
Hey, let me ask you something. How did you know I love this song?
I mean, come on, it's the Cold War kids. Everybody loves them.
Whoa! Who taught this guy how to merge? That was a fantastic merge!
Couldn't agree more.
That's it? That's all this costs? What's this thing running on? Smiles and high fives? You son of Mike, I love you!
Thanks. Have a great day.
Lyft. Driving you happy. Just download and go.
Okay, so I did this movie. It's called Beautifully Broken, and it was about the Rwanda War, and I totally engulfed myself because it was right after my divorce, and my divorce had come clean. I was still depressed, but I engulfed myself. And the cutting issue, I wrote the cutting issue into it. And I'm really, really, really intensely, because I wanted to understand what cutting was about, because I have so many of my friends and so many, when I teach high school and I teach junior high and I've taught middle school and whatever about the cutting. It was such a deep, passionate thing to me because people don't understand it, and I wanted the public to understand it. And can you explain it to people that don't understand it and think that people are just doing it because it's crazy? And I hope that the movie's shooting right now in Rwanda, Africa, and I'm really hoping that people get these scenes that I put in there. But maybe someone that has written a book on it can explain how intense it is. But I will actually tell you, I will never write a movie like that. I was about to write a sex trafficking movie. I started to write it. I couldn't stay involved in it because that cutting and the victim was so deeply impacted me. I could not move forward for almost a year of it. So would you explain it to us?
Yes. Well, there is a difference between cutting versus suicide attempts. But why they sometimes get enmeshed in one is if you try to cut yourself many times, there's a chance you're going to end up hitting the main vein or hitting something and having an actual suicide completion. But mostly what I have found, people who have cutting behaviors who cut don't say, okay, I'm going to do this to commit suicide. I have found there's usually kind of three things when I hear about cutting. I think about cutting, I think about eating disorders, body image, anything with that, and any history of sexual or physical abuse, especially sexual abuse. I've seen a lot or even with like bullying, a lot of severe bullying. And I find with a lot of the clients that I've worked with, the cutting is their way of control. It's kind of ironic. It releases the pain. They have control over their body. They have control over the pain. And so many times, when they're young teens or younger kids, children, or even adults, I have a lot of adults that cut too, is they're trying to release the pain. They're trying to have control of something of that they're out of control. So you always want to look on what's going on with the cutting. How many, where are they cutting? Because they can cut on their arms, their legs, their inner thighs, on their stomachs, in between their toes, depending, what's going on, if they're hiding it, what the season is. But a lot of it is, and when you see cutting, it's serious. Yes, people can stop cutting, but they need help. It's not, okay, this person's just joking around or something's wrong with them or their friend told them to do it and now they're doing it. And it could have maybe had an idea that, oh, my friend's doing it and my friend says, I'm in a lot of pain, I cut myself, I feel better. And then this child said, oh, let me try because I feel so horrible, what do I have to lose? And they start cutting. But what happens with cutting, you might start off with scratching. A lot of times, the parents will say, my daughter or my son has scratches on their wrists. They're scratching their wrists. They're, scratching their arms and stuff like that. And after a while, it starts getting deeper and deeper. Then they move to a pencil. Then they move to a paper clip. And they get bigger and bigger because what it is, it's almost like a threshold of pain, a threshold of tolerance that you need to keep kind of upping it. So just that scratch doesn't work anymore. You kind of, they become more and more intense into what that pain is or the release of the pain. And that's why it gets more serious, where they start cutting their wrists or they're carving and doing things like that. But I think it's very important, if someone is cutting, to really have them evaluated. I mean, they can with the proper help. I've had clients, young teens, men, boys and girls, stop cutting, but it's something they have to keep in their mind, that when they're really stressed, this is not a behavior that they should be falling back on, but it's something that has to be open in the public, in the school, with the parents, the guidance counselor, the family, the teachers, people that are around, that we need to know if this person is cutting, because it's really a sign of that they're trying to release pain, and they're in a lot of pain.
So is there a way to cure that? I mean, to be honest, I've encountered during that writing, and I did so many victims, I encountered a ton of people with that. Is there ability to eventually stop that? I mean, I feel like there is, because I know someone personally that, once you deal with your demons, then you're able to stop. But is that something that's always going to linger, kind of like an addiction to alcohol or addiction to pills or addiction to sex? Is that something that's always lingering over your head?
I think it can be in the back front. It can be there. It will not be maybe as strong as an addiction of alcohol or drugs, but the person has to be mindful. And if you catch it at a young age and really help that child, that person, figure out what is it. Can we talk about what's really bothering, and being really honest? There's so many things on social media now that talk about cutting, and there's all these YouTube videos, and these people have these blogs, and these kids are saying how great it is to cut, and you get these children who are in pain, and they're watching this and getting mesmerized by all this stuff and kind of keep going. But if you really work with the child and say, okay, why do you think you're cutting? When did it start? How can we work? It might not, you might not be able to stop overnight. It's going to take some time. They might relapse and cut a little bit here and there and do that. But I think it's really being honest, and then providing them healthier ways of, is it anger? Is it feeling out of control? Is it sadness? Has there been sexual abuse? Is it body image? So that's why usually when you see cutting, or when I see eating disorder or one of those, or sexual abuse, those three usually are associated at times with each other. So that's always something to kind of look at and say, okay, well, what's going on? I think, as people have been in sex trafficking or anything like that, I mean, the pain is so, everyone doing whatever they want to their body, that the only respect and distorted way of thinking is control they have over their body is when they cut and they make themselves bleed. So it's almost helping that person gain control of themselves in a healthier way. And say, okay, let's find a healthier way.
Is that something they've learned on TV? I mean, did they do this in 1920 and 1810, or is this like some kind of new thing like cyberbullying?
I think it's been around for a very long time.
Really?
I think it's been around for a long time. I think, again, people really didn't talk about it. They didn't understand it. I mean, I've worked with a lot of men and women that are 50, 60 years old now, and they were cutting in their young, 10, 11, 12, 13, and they've been cutting on and off, and some have stopped completely, and some still every once in a while when something super, super stress comes, they'll cut their inner thigh or something like that. But I think it's getting the help and really having an understanding what's motivating you to cut.
Alexa, I think that you're the most soulful, and I'm not just saying that because you've heard my interviews. They're not really like this, but there's a reason that we connected. I was interviewing a plastic surgeon, had actually contacted me because he wanted to be on the show, and one of his things was that he did the laser surgery for people that were cutting, and it was just such a blunt deal of it wasn't like you're going to the psychiatrist and you're going to whatever. It was like, it's like a normal thing. People are cutting, so here's our laser surgery that will take care of that. And when you said that to me, I'm going to be honest, I haven't read your book, but I will now. But I did promote it on the thing. But I have so many people that when I work at the high school and the junior high, and I was aware of something that happened a couple of weeks ago when I was with one of the elementary schools, because I'm very fixated on that because of the movie that I wrote. that to me, some people actually like, they don't understand it, and they think it's like a cute thing to get attention, or it's like this, some people are like, oh, I have anorexia, I'm so skinny, or whatever. But there's really people that have gone through powerful emotional changes that have, and they don't do it to what I feel like. And like I said, when I wrote the movie, I did every kind of there was a lot of victimization in Rwanda between the two tribes. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I interviewed all those people. By the time I left that, I felt like I was, I was dead inside. A lot of people just do it to make sure that they still feel pain because they're dead inside. You're completely dead. And I remember this one lady, and I can't say her name, and she had one of those wraps around her top of, the way the African tribe do it, where they've got their head wrapped up. And she was sitting there, and she was showing me her scars, and she said, I just needed to know that I still felt something. I didn't feel anything, and I wanted to see if I felt something. As soon as I saw blood come out, I felt like maybe there was something left inside of me. And wow. And the point is that I had written the thing of people actually doing it to feel a release of pain, and here she was telling me I didn't feel anything. I wanted to make sure that I still did feel pain. So I haven't read your book, and I didn't know that. I really thought this was going to be a fun, intense, like fun, giggly. We were going to talk about all your shows and the dog and everything else. But I haven't ever met someone until recently, especially where I'm raised, that will initiate the thing of cutting is a huge issue. And we can all hide it, but it is not just you're trying to release the pain. Also, some people do it just to make sure that they still feel the pain because they're so disconnected from, they've had such horrible experiences, I feel, that they've had to disassociate themselves from life. And so they want to make sure that they still feel themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes complete sense. Yes, it is also to make sure they still feel something. Because I think a lot of times when there is such horrific abuse, the only way to survive is to kind of remove yourself mentally from the situation. That's how you survive it. And sometimes it's hard to go back and forth when there's such constant abuse, and if it happens a lot of times, that sometimes they kind of depersonalize. They really don't even realize, am I still alive? Am I still here? Do I still feel things? I think that's also, part of the abuse, that you just get so beaten down physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that you feel like there's nothing left. And sometimes the cutting is a way of, yes, it's a negative behavior, but it could also be a cry. It could have something, in a way positive, that this person wants to feel something. This person wants to say, am I still human?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't recognize it. And I don't like, one of the reasons, I don't know if you read my Nighty Night. Yeah, everybody knows I do my night, good morning, or whatever, wakey, and nighty. But sometimes when I work at a school, or sometimes when I've had a talk with someone that's going through a lot of trauma, and we've always discussed on my show that y'all don't know me because everybody thinks I'm Cosmopolitans with Lauren, and I'm happy-go-lucky person, but I'm really not. I've really gone through a lot of trauma in my life, more than most people that could possibly bear. And because of that, I'm able to write the deep, dark stories that I do. And, I've had the opportunity to go to Los Angeles to write for a comedy show that was out of Warner Brothers that was huge and big and fun. But I just don't have that in me as much as I'm giggling and fun with y'all. But in my heart, there's a deep and a darkness. But that I feel like, and what I said tonight in my blog was tonight is that I reckon all the problems that I've been through, all the divorce, the death, the adultery, the abuse, whatever, is where the way I evaluate it is where I am today. And where I am today is able to reach out and help people. And really, when I go to bed at night, the one thing that I go to bed at night thinking is that I helped one person tonight. And I feel like Alexa is maybe my one other person that I've ever spoken to in my travels in the past 5 years that is someone that understands that importance of helping just one person that may be misunderstood, that maybe that the school system doesn't understand, and maybe that your friends don't understand and society doesn't understand, but you are just trying to exist and cope with what life has handed you, and you've dealt with it, and you're trying to move forward. Now you can buckle up and you can lay on the couch and ask for, welfare checks, or, I can't do this, or everybody feels sorry for me. Or you can do what I did, which was buckle up, get your shit together, and make a new life for yourself. And that is what I've done. And you, Alexa, are the only person that I've encountered through all my many people that I think understands who I am and how I feel.
Yes, and I think what you said is like you make a choice, and I think, but also by giving back, and it's interesting. As I said, in exactly kind of what you said, if I could help one person in my book, I actually said, everyone said, well, "What do you want to do? What's your big mission? You want to sell all these books? You want to be on Oprah? You want to do all this?" I said, if one person can walk away and learn something and say, "Oh, that makes sense," and if that, all I ask is that person tell somebody else. That's all I ask. I just want someone, because sometimes, in my life growing up, people have said certain things, or certain things have kind of clicked in my head, and that's when okay, and I've used that as my foundation, and I build on it, and that's what made who I am today. I heard many, many, many years ago, rejection is God's protection. And so many times that has helped me through things, saying rejection is God's protection. This too shall pass. And using these small things, that if I can give that to others, just one person can say, I got that. I've completed my mission. I've gotten what I wanted to do.
Bullying does not just happen in school. It happens when you're an adult. Is a huge issue, which I have found through my research has led to cutting, correct?
Yes. And I find it just isn't for teenagers or young kids. Adults can be just as vicious with the bullying. And I think when you're also in the public eye, and this is another thing I've really spread on my show, you have no right to judge other people and say comments just because it makes you feel good or it's your opinion. I mean, what happened to basic decency? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I mean, that's how I was brought up. And I think it's so incredible that the way people can make fun of people or make nasty comments or bully them is and it's become more and more of that of an epidemic, and it's a lot of jealousy and insecurity, but they're doing such horrible damage to other people.
That's how I almost lost my daughter to bullying. And she had it all, but my divorce affected both of my children. One of my son just, completely detached and just left, and my daughter fell because I think that bullying happens to people, bulliers, and I'm not saying why they're bullying, but they're able to pick up the self-esteem. As soon as I dropped my daughter off at school, her shoulders would roll, she'd walk inside, and it would crack me up because I'd think about when she was on the red carpet, I'd just look at pictures still, and I'm like, she used to have TMZ following her and going through our garbage, and then I'll drop her off at school, and her little shoulders roll up, and she's, comes home crying and stuff, and I, as a person, cannot conceptualize being mean to a person. I just don't. I don't. You know what? There's people that are in my family that are really mean to people. I think that it's something within a certain person. I don't think that. I don't know about my son. He may be mean to somebody. So if you're out there listening, he may be mean to you. My daughter isn't that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person, and we can't understand it when she comes home and she looks at me and she's crying and she's upset and like, why did they say this? Why did they say that? I don't know how to answer because I'm like, I don't know what makes people mean. I can't answer. That's just something that they've learned or whatever, but we just have to understand that maybe they're having a bad day, maybe something bad happened to them, but, it's a problem. And people need to understand that bullying, even adulthood bullying, can lead to people doing bad things for desperate reasons when they're just trying to exist. And I think I wrote my nighty night about that in my wakey this morning about somebody trying to bully me last night, and they really tried to get to me, and it really didn't get to me because actually it ended up turning profitable for me. But people need to be aware of the fact that bullying has huge effect, and the effects are detrimental to people's spirit, what they try to achieve in life. Like me, like I said, a lot of people that have gone through bullying, not that I wasn't bullied growing up, but I've been through horrible experiences. But it can lead to alcoholism, it can lead to drug abuse, it can lead to, pornography, sexual abuse, all these other different things. My deal is that I constantly self-sabotage because I have a low self-esteem, which people would never imagine, and I'm a people pleaser. I want to make everybody happy, and I don't understand why people don't like me because I'm really just trying to be happy. And I'm sure you see a lot of that, and it's fascinating to me because you are in the entertainment business, which is typically people that have been through the entertainment business. I know with the people that I know, and I can't say out loud, but these are like, Golden Globe winners are in that industry, and they homeschool because they were bullied so much. And that is because I think that they're artistic, they feel deeper, they're more emotional, they're not driven by how cool they are, they actually feel. And Alexa, I know I've probably babbled your ear off, but I find you so fascinating and somebody that I think that is able to reach. As a teacher for me, I would love to have you come to my school and and speak. So it's something that I feel very strongly about, and I would like to let you take away for 2 minutes and tell me everything that you want to say, and I'm going to run out and get your book tomorrow.
Thank you. Well, I said, first of all, thank you so much for being on your show, and I think also for sharing. And it's so amazing to find someone else who has similar thinking, because I think so many times people are caught up in this and caught up in that they really don't realize about helping people and being good to people and paying it forward, but also of the seriousness of what's going on and our behaviors and other people's behaviors, and that we really have to watch what we say, what we do, but we also have to make sure we take care of ourselves. And I think it's a process every day. I'm human too. When people say something mean or say something this, or I didn't like this, I didn't like that, it hurts. I mean, it hurts. I take sometimes things personal, and I'm like, wow, I don't understand why that person wouldn't like me, or I don't understand why would you say something that mean? Like, that's just vicious. I mean, you didn't like my socks, or that was ugly, or that was really disgusting. I mean, I remember I used to do shoe modeling, and for like 20 minutes I had people there measuring my ankles, and one ankle was a 1/4 inch bigger, or calf was bigger than the other one. And I had these two people saying, well, what are you going to do? This is disgusting. You're never going to work. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. And I was 17 years old. And at that age, that's upsetting when someone says one ankle or calf muscle is a little fatter than the other, which they were, they're not fat, but they were measuring. And I think it's really finding who you are and building that up and just working on it and just really loving yourself and self-care. And I think with the bullying, it's very painful when people do horrible, vicious, cruel things, but I think it's realizing it's about them. Everything they're doing to you is about them, and kind of like letting them not kind of put on your emotional armor, spiritual armor, and say, this is about them. This is their problem. I'm not getting on their roller coaster. I'm not being a part of their circus. I'm taking a step back, and don't engage them. Report them and don't engage them, I find is the most. And I think it just supports yourself with healthy people. You don't need negative people. You don't need people who always have to criticize. That's not the way people learn. I think it has to be surround yourself with healthy people, take care of yourself, self-care, and always keep learning and giving back to people.
I think that to me, you're one of the most wonderful people, and I can't wait to move to New York because I'm going to have the best group of friends ever. I think that Alexa is amazing, and I just want to say, this really, guys, started out as something like because I was so concerned about your dog, Alexa. Alexa her dog had an issue, and I'm actually on my knees praying about her dog, and I'm like, I don't even know this person. I haven't met her, and I'm so worried about her dog. I can't sleep tonight. But I'm saying, we joke about Facebook and whatever. I've met the most amazing people on social media. I really thought when I had this show that it was going to turn out to be like what, the other night was, which was fashion and Chanel and all this other stuff. But you know what? You just got to talk to people that are out there listening. You have to talk to people because you can have a perception of what I had a perception of Alexa. No offense, I love you to death, but I had the perception that you were like on, just the socialite that was on Broadway and was just like this, whatever, and I wasn't going to be able to relate to you. And you're probably one of the deepest, most soul-bounded person that I've ever had, and it's an honor to have you on my show, and I'm probably going to call you off air, but Bart's looking over at me, and he's throwing a noose at me like I need to shut this thing down. But I'm going to go out tomorrow and get your book. I think you're the most, truly, in the top 2 or 3 most amazing people I've ever met and are spoken with, and I would love to have you on the show again because there's so many issues that you, I think, can relatable as me as a teacher and me that work with disabled children and me that work with women of domestic abuse. I think there's a lot of help that you could do for people, and there's not a lot of people that have your kind of energy that, I've gone to speak at places, and the person that goes ahead of me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep, and this is, but I think you have an amazing energy, and you're very relatable, and I would love to have you on again. And guys, I want you to run out tomorrow and go buy Alexa's book, and I want you to tell us exactly everything you want to know. Okay, Bart, I'm going. Give me what you want to say in 1 minute before he throws a arrow in my face.
Again, thank you so much for having me on and for everything you said. Thank you. And thank you for praying for my dog, too. He's so far doing very well. So thank you. He's going through chemo, but he's so far doing well. He goes in Monday to check his blood work. And I would love to be on your show again. And I'm honored and blessed. And it's so amazing that we've connected. And I cannot wait for you to come to New York. I cannot wait for us to collaborate and keep moving forward and helping and healing people. That's what life is all about.
Okay, in the book, tell us the book one more time.
The book is Finding Your Peace Within the Chaos. It's on Amazon. You can also find me on Facebook, Finding Your Peace Within the Chaos, or also Insight into Healing on Facebook, and also my internet television show, The Alexa Show.
Okay, and your TV show?
Is The Alexa Show. That airs Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on AlexaTVShow.com, and I have a Facebook page, Facebook.com/The Alexa Show.
All right, well, you know what, guys? I want everybody to go to my friend's TV show and radio show because I'm her number 1 fan. And I'm actually going to get a shirt that says Alexa's number 1 fan. I love you. Thank you so much, honey. And you have a great day and a great night, and go out and celebrate. And I will send you something tomorrow, okay?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
babe. Speak to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Mwah. Bye.
I can hear her heartbeat from 1,000 miles. Yeah, the heavens open every time she smiles. And when I come to her, that's where I belong. Yet I run into her like a river song. She gave me love, 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 crazy love. She gave me love, 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 crazy love. She got a fine sense of humor when I'm feeling low down. Yeah, when I come to her when the sun goes down. Take away my trouble, take away my grief, take away my heartache in a night like a thief. She gave me love, 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 crazy love. She gave me love, 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 crazy love. Yeah, I need her in the daytime. Yeah, I need her in the night. Yeah, and I wanna throw my arms around her and kiss and hug her tight. Yeah, when I'm returning from so far away, she gave me some sweet loving, brighten up my day. Yeah, and it make me righteous, and it make me whole.